Happy Sunday, everybody. Everything I'm about to explain applies to real cases you've seen recently. But we're not here to argue personalities. We're here to understand the very system that impacts us all. Most people don't actually understand how close they live to the legal line. They think the law is about opinions. They think it's about right and wrong. They think it's about who's good and who's bad. But it's none of that. It's not. And I want us to really focus in on that because I think this is going to be the most important information that you probably learn, that you would probably be able to share to your friends, to your family, if you are a protester. Again, they think it's about right and wrong. They think it's about who's good and who's bad. It's not. The law is about context, where something happens, when it happens, and whether someone's rights were affected in the process. And the reason so many people are confused right now is because they're trying to apply internet rules to real world spaces. Today isn't about defending anyone. I want to be clear about that. It's not about attacking anyone. It's not about well, I will say that it's mainly about understanding how the system actually works more than anything, so you don't get blindsided by it. So let's discuss when speech stopped being speech or freedom of speech. Most people believe speech is just speech, words, opinions, expressions. But the law doesn't see speech that way at all. The law separates speech into three categories. You might want to write this down: speech, conduct, and speech that becomes conduct. That third category is where people get caught off guard. The First Amendment to the United States Constitution states that Congress shall make no law abridging the freedom of speech or the free exercise of religion. That's where speech protection comes from. But that same First Amendment has never been interpreted to protect conduct that interferes with the rights of others. That is why courts have always allowed what are called time, place, and manner limits, meaning speech can be regulated based on where it happens and what it disrupts, even when the message itself is lawful. So when Congress protects expression, it does not protect interference. It's a very, very clear difference. At the federal level, Congress has passed civil rights laws that make it a crime to interfere with protected activities, not because of what someone believes, but because their actions do. Those laws include federal civil rights statutes and laws like the Freedom of Access to Clinic Entrances Act, the FACE Act, which explicitly protects religious worship from obstruction or interference. It's very important we understand that. These protections is followed by directly from the First Amendment. I think you guys understand. I want you guys to really truly understand this, right? That the First Amendment gives you the right to be able to, say whatever you want to say. But you have to do so within the laws at which that currently exist outside of the First Amendment. So these protections flow directly from the First Amendment, the free exercise clause, which guarantees the rights to practice religion without interference. So when speech is directed at specific people in a specific place at a specific time, and it disrupts or interferes with a protected activity, the law stops analyzing it as speech. It then analyzes it as an action. And at that point, the question is no longer, was this offensive? The question becomes, did these words do something? Did they stop something from happening? Did they interfere with someone else's protected rights? And that's the shift most people don't see. Online, speech is usually just speech. On a sidewalk, for instance, speech is usually just speech. But once speech functions as a disruption inside a protected context, it changes classification. Same words, different outcome. So I want us to do one thing. I want us to take a look at an example of Don Lemon's church event where he entered the church as a journalist, or he went in there with activists protesting inside of a place of worship while they were having service. So I want you guys to look at this. And again, y'all, I am not sharing this to say Don is right or that Don is wrong. Okay, I am here to provide context because I think it's very, very important that people understand that a lot of times it's not so much about, stripping away our rights, but there are laws in which we have to conduct ourselves inside of the laws that currently exist. So I want us to take a look at this clip because it provides context to what we're discussing here today.
We're here to worship Jesus because that's the hope of these cities. That's the hope of the world is Jesus Christ.
I want to be very respectful. Please don't push me, though.
We're here to worship Jesus.
Yes.
That's why we're here.
Yeah.
Okay, that's why we're here. Okay. That's what we're about.
Don't you think Jesus would be understanding
we're about
and love these folks?
We're about spreading the love of Jesus.
But did you try to talk to them as a Christian?
No one is willing to talk.
This is where people get mostly confused. And again, y'all, I'm not here to discuss whether who's right or who's wrong. I am here to just provide context based on what's actually happening. They hear the words and think the words are on trial. A lot of us think that, or at least I hear a lot of people that say maybe they're attacking our freedom of speech. We should be able to have a right to freedom of speech. And we all have that freedom of speech. Our words are not on trial. They're not. What's being examined is where the words were delivered and what they interfered with. When prosecutors look at situations like this, they're not asking if the speech was popular or somehow unpopular. They're asking whether it crossed the line into interference. Not because of who someone is, but because context changes the category. So I want us to take another look at Renee Good's situation and Alex Petty's situation. Again, I'm not here to provide or to say who is right and wrong. I am just here to shed light and to provide context in what we're currently dealing with. So take a look at this clip. This is from Renee Good. This is the situation here. This is what happened.
Change our plates every morning, just so you know. It'll be the same plate when you come talk to us later. That's fine. U.S. citizen, former. You want to come at us? You want to come at us? I say go get yourself some lunch, big boy. Go ahead.
Out of the car. Get out of the car. Get out of the
car. By Border Patrol. New footage has emerged of Alex Pretty, filmed 11 days before he was fatally shot by Border Patrol officers in Minneapolis on January. New footage has emerged. Border Patrol officers in Minneapolis on January 24th. In the footage, filmed on January 13th, Pretty is seen here, shouting expletives and spitting at a federal immigration agent's car during a protest. He then kicks the agent's vehicle, breaking a tail light. The agents exit their vehicle and a scuffle takes place. Pretty, on the ground, loses his coat. When he gets back up, what appears to be a handgun is visible in his waistband. At no point do the videos show Pretty reaching for the gun, and it is unclear whether the federal agent saw it. Agents then deploy smoke canisters and drive away. In another video, a bystander can be seen checking if Pretty is okay.
You okay? You okay? I'm okay. Are we all okay?
The new videos immediately rekindled the national debate about Pretty's death. An attorney representing Pretty's parents said the altercation on January 13th in no way justified the officers fatally shooting Pretty on the 24th.
So, y'all, I just want to ask you all a question. If what I said about conduct is the law, then I want you all to make that determination on if you still believe whether the person, whether it be Alex Petty, whether it be Renee Good, whether it be Don Lemon, you make your determination based on that. I'm just providing the context. So I'm not going to explain this video. I'm not going to argue it. I'm just showing it to make a point. This is what happens when speech leaves the abstract and enters physical space. Notice how fast words stop being the issue and context becomes the issue. That's why people say, I don't understand how this is illegal. They're assuming speech is being judged. That's what's actually being judged. It's conduct. It's conduct. And if you don't understand that distinction, you will always feel blindsided when consequences show up. This knowledge protects people. It protects protesters. It protects speakers. It protects institutions. Okay? Ignorance creates exposure. So I want us to really be focused in on that, because that is the thing that is really keeping us divided. Again, it's not so much about speech, y'all. It's not so much about whether or not somebody is trying to strip away the freedom of speech. I want us to be more mindful of our conduct. I want us to take another look at this other clip. This here is, I want to take one more glance at this clip from Don Lemon. Now, a lot of times, people are saying that Don Lemon should really be found not guilty on these things because he's a journalist. They're trying to use the word of just him being a journalist. But just take another look. Based on what we just discussed again, based on what we just looked at with Alex Petty, Renee Good, take another look at this clip right here of Don Lemon.
By Border Patrol. New footage has emerged of Alex Pretty, filmed 11 days before he was...
All right. So if speech is classified as conduct, free speech arguments don't apply. If it stays classified as speech, protections hold, right? I mean, that's the way I would look at it. Everything turns on classification. Everything turns on classification. Now that we understand when speech changes, let's talk about the places where that change happens fast. Okay? Protected spaces versus public spaces. People hear the phrase public spaces and assume anything goes. That's not how the law works. The law does not divide spaces by ownership. It divides spaces by function. Some spaces are considered protected, even when they are open to the public. A sidewalk, for instance, is public. A park, for instance, is public. But a church during worship is different. A courtroom during proceedings is different. A school during instruction is different. You may be allowed inside, but you are not allowed to interfere with the function. Access does not equal entitlement. Presence does not equal permission to disrupt. That's the distinction that most people miss. People say, but the doors were open. I can do this. I can do that. Open does not mean unprotected, y'all. The law protects what happens inside the space, not just who enters it. So if a space is ruled protected, interference is actionable. If it's ruled public only, expression receives broader latitude. Intent does not decide this. Context does. And I think that's is a fair assessment. That is why location changes everything. Now let's talk about why most people don't understand any of this and how the media makes it worse. Okay? So how the media turns legal process into a moral judgment, which is crazy to me. We all understand the media is certainly paid. They're definitely bought for sure. Nothing in my mind tells me otherwise. The legal system and the media do different jobs. The law is slow. Media is fast. The law evaluates process. The media frames character. That's very important. I'll say it again. The law evaluates process. The media frames character. That difference creates confusion. And when a legal action begins, an investigation, an arrest, a charge, the media compresses it into a headline. Those headlines use emotional language, such as words like outrage, attack, targeted, victim. Those are not legal terms. They are emotional shortcuts. The result is that people believe arrest equals guilt. Charge equals conviction. Allegation equals fact. None of that is true. Legal process is procedural. That's important for us to understand. Media narratives, or the media narrative is moral. I mean, it's what they actually feel, it's what they promote, it's what they feel it should take on the language for the event. When law is turned into morality theater, clarity disappears. And when clarity disappears, people react instead of they think. People who understand this don't overreact to headlines. They don't attach morality to procedure. They don't confuse process with outcome. They become harder to manipulate, and that matters. If there's one thing I want you to walk away with today, it's this. Status doesn't change the rules. Emotions don't override structure. And context defines consequences. I want us to sit with that because I think it's probably going to be the most profound thing. Again, I am doing this because I want us to really take heart. Because do I believe in immigration? I believe in immigration. Do I believe that there's a right way and a wrong way to do everything, whether you're ICE or whether you're a protester? Absolutely. And that is why we have laws. I believe in the law, right? I really, truly do. So if you know someone out there that is protesting, if you know someone that's out there in the streets, share this video, share it. Leave your feedback. I would love to hear what you have to say in terms of, do you think it's important? Do you think someone's emotion should override conduct or the law? Or do you believe that law should override conduct? All right. So look forward to speaking to you guys next time on The Experience, but wanted to share this video with you just to provide additional context in what we're currently faced right now with ICE and with all these protesting that's going on in America. Until next time, guys.